Survey says. Okay, that's good. I would love to play first. So it's just like a generic good hand. The old 2-3 on the play. We're missing a red source, but we also just like don't need red mana until Wurm on 6, and like we only have a couple of Worms, so it's like pretty reasonable against the Thought Erasure too, because even after they take the Jadelight, we still have Merfolk Branchwalker to follow up with. Gives us an okay amount of pressure. Depending on the quality of the spells that we draw. Oh. Alright. That... It's a real shame they didn't take Jadelight. The fact that they took Krasis there makes me think we're probably going to see a Kaya's Wrath before long. I'm going to ditch that, looking for a land. Getting this up to a 4-3 is like not unreasonable for us. I wonder if I attack... We don't have a third land. Well, that's real good for us. Alright, well. There's no Syncopates in his deck, right? 0 Syncopate, 2 main deck Negate. Oh. I'm dead to the Space Jam. About Moment of Craving here. Yep. We're really lucky this hit 2 spells last turn. Hadana's Climb. That's perfect. Close this game out real fast. I have 2 cast downs. I can't play and activate Hadana's Climb next turn, which kind of sucks. I'm gonna go ahead and target the Jadelight with Climbs, that way if they have a thing. They have no lands and died. Right. Sideboarding for this matchup is pretty straightforward. Climbs are bad, Wildgrowth Walkers. I know Wildgrowth Walker was good there, but I think in general it's not very good. We bring in Vivien and Stroke and Negate and these Frilled Mystics. Look at that. It's almost like I had a plan. It's like easy in, easy out. It's what, 9 out, 5 and 4. Seems reasonable. Let's do it. I assume the next 2 games are not about to be as easy as that one. Sometimes the Magic the Gathering happens. I think it was Corey Burkhart said that like he thinks if you hit all your land drops Desperate Control, you're just like 70% to win most of your games. But like sometimes the Magic happens. Like keep 2 lands, Thought Erasure, and like brick on your 3rd land and die. Hey Tutors, thanks for the 4 months. Welcome back. For keeping me around. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. Today's a low energy try hard tournament stream day. Hey Punk, thanks for the biddies. I do not have my chat up, so I am not seeing resub messages. I'm not seeing cheer messages. So I am a bad content producer today and attempting to be a good tournament Magic player. A couple people have been asking about my voice. I am a little bit sick still, but this is conversational, Jeff. This is what I sound like when I'm talking to people that are sitting next to me. When I stream for 8 hours a day and I'm constantly on, I project my voice in a stage-like presence to keep my energy high and be more edutaining. Helps me stay on for longer through long days. So out of Jim's sideboard, I expect Thief of Sanity and I expect definitely Hostage Taker. Some of these people have been boarding in Cry of the Canarium. I could see Cast Down. Lyra and Thief are also potential cards that could come in. I have 4 Incubations and 2 Viviens that can shoot down Thieves and Lyras. It's not too bad. Hostage Taker is like really good against us, but just like 2 copies of Hostage Taker are like not enough of a reason to put what's it called in my deck? Lava Coil. Oh, I have 2 Worms in my deck too that can kill those things, which is nice. One of the things that comes up a lot is that people often ask why I board out Climb in this matchup. Climb is what I like to refer to as a good game 1 card in most of the matchups, where it's a card that allows us to be incredibly proactive, but it's not really good pressure on its own, and if the board's not stalling up and we don't need to jump over, I like to sideboard it out in the post-board games. Jim taking his almost full 2 minutes to sideboard there. Not super surprising. Like, I've played against Esper with this deck before, and I expect my opponent to not play this matchup. This hand would really like a second blue source, but it's like really good otherwise, right? And if we brick on our second blue for a hot second, we can like Baby Krasis to cycle, and we have Ravager Wurm as well, just like as a hasty threat. Looking to draw like Explore Creatures and Growth Chamber Guardians in our first couple draws. Blue source is perfect. Missing color over there. Didn't hit any of our 2-drops, but that's fine. Wonder if we'll see this die at end of turn. Alright, where's the color? No absorb up for them. I think I'm just gonna play this and play a Krasis. Especially with the second one drawn. I think I want to just like cycle this. I just want to get a little bit of pressure into play, and then I can start holding up Frilled Mystics and like other disruption while I pressure them with the cards that I have in play. Playing Krasis this turn is also reasonable because it means that my opponent can't cast Teferi next turn. So ideally, especially since I have this disruption, I want to play this disruption on a turn where they can have Teferi. Cast down. So they were holding the cast down in case I played a bigger threat there, apparently. So just passing here kind of screams Frilled Mystic, but again, like, I have the pressure in play, so like the onus is kind of on Jim to be reacting here. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass. That's fine. Llanowar Elves is actually not a bad draw because it's a card I can play to like add pressure to the table while still holding up Frilled Mystic. Does Jim have any Disdainful Strokes in his 75? He does not. So that's good to know. So that means in order to counter my Frilled Mystic, he's going to have Absorb Mana up. They cast Chemist's Insight here. I'm just going to let that resolve. They're at 15, and my goal is to like chip away at them here. I want to stop their card advantage, like Thief of Sanity and stuff like that, from resolving Lyra, things of that nature. Like I said, Jim's got my deck list, so I assume this Frilled Mystic is super telegraphed, but at the same time, just like Frilled Mystic is good in these matchups because it's still good even when it's telegraphed. Ditch Kaya's Wrath here. It makes a lot of sense. It could mean they have a second one, but they also could just be like reading the room on the Frilled Mystic. Worst case scenario is like they play Thought Erasure, I Frilled Mystic it, and then they Kaya's Wrath me afterwards. Negate is an excellent draw because it means I get to start holding up double counterspell now. The negate means I can be a little bit more aggressive with this Frilled Mystic, which is wonderful. Since I have more protection. And like if I get the Frilled Mystic down now, I'm actually going to have a 2-turn clock. So I'm gonna go ahead and Frilled Mystic this just to like put 6 power into play. Increasing my clock by a significant margin, and like even if they like have like land Kaya's Wrath absorb here, I get to follow it up with a Krasis for 5, which is reasonable for us, and then like I have Wurm as a haste threat after that. So I think this exchange is okay for me. We're a little bit behind at the moment, but definitely just want to play this out for 5. Like even if they like Teferi and Tuck here, I then like have Ravager Wurm as a follow-up, which is wonderful. It's pretty okay. Knowing about the Wurm removes some of its power, but that's fine. I assume we're going to see Frilled Mystic go away here. Since I have 2 removal spells, we're in a pretty reasonable spot. Their Lyras and Thief of Sanity out of the sideboard. Their pivot plan is less good. Hostage Taker also a lot less good. See if they have a removal spell here for the Hydroid Krasis or not. Probably Incubation, digging for a threat next turn, depending on what we draw. There's one more Frilled Mystic in our deck that I can find too. While Frilled Mystic's definitely more telegraphed than other counterspells, the really nice thing about Frilled Mystic is that it's a counterspell that we can fetch off of Incubation and Vivien since it's a creature. Incubation also gives us more threat density to find Krasis more consistently. Ditching the search for Azcanta makes sense because I have the Ravager Wurm. The fact that they ditch the search there kind of implies that they either don't have a removal spell or they don't have a counterspell for the Ravager Wurm coming down. Either way, I think that's good for us. Teferi tucking Krasis isn't even that appealing because I like play Worm, kill Teferi, and then have a Krasis that I'm redrawing the following couple of turns. Start with this, see where we go. That's a pretty good draw. Maybe I should attack before I do that. I would love to leave that right there. I think I'm going to hold on to Llanowar Elf for now. It doesn't make the clock any faster, and there's a chance that they have like a Kaya's Wrath next turn. They like discarded one earlier, so maybe they were gummed up on him. I have 8 mana in play right now, which means I can Incubation into a Krasis and play it for 3.
We need to move quickly.
Am I interested in killing this Teferi? I think I am. I could also just try and kill them. Let's start with this and see where we go. Might find like a Frilled Mystic and be in a great spot. Another Krasis. Absorb. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and kill Teferi here. I don't think it's worth leaving this stick around, even though I could 2-turn clock them. I'm on 9 mana, so I'm gonna play that Llanowar Elf out here because it gives me a 10th mana to play the Krasis for 8 next turn. So we're hoping to dodge Kaya's Wrath and Thought Erasure here. They do have a look with this Azcanta, and they can play both Teferi and Kaya's Wrath after activating Azcanta. If they Kaya's Wrath, I get to Hydroid Krasis for at least 7 and draw 3 cards. They are through 2 Wraths already, though. Ooh, they just have the Wrath in hand already? Nope, that's not... Sure. They're up to 15 with an Azcanta activation, so we're playing a game of Magic. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do this for X's 8. Fill the tank. And they get double activation now to try and find a Kaya's Wrath. And like even once they Kaya's Wrath at this point, like between my Jadelight Ranger, my Growth Chamber Guardian, I've still got a lot of gas left in the tank. Hey Dylan, thanks for the sub, I appreciate it. So that's my 3rd Krasis. Yeah, it's my 3rd Krasis. I'm through. I have all my Growth Chamber Guardians in the deck though, right? Yeah. So this is gonna find 16 power here, which is pretty good for us. This is putting them to 12, which technically leaves them dead on board, but like the odds of them like missing on at least a single removal spell and like double Azcanta activations plus a draw step is pretty low. So we're gonna be pure playing Magic for a hot second. Our ideal draws are like Negates and our last Frilled Mystic at this point. Absorb's a good one to know about. So the Absorb means that if they just pass the turn here, I'm going to attack before I do anything, because I don't want to play a spell with the Absorb up to 15 in case they do brick on removal here by some stroke of luck. The tank here tells me that they don't have a Kaya's Wrath, hopefully. If we keep chipping away with these, it's good for us. Ideally, we want one of these Jadelights to absorb the Absorb, as opposed to the Growth Chamber Guardian. Mortify, yep. They do have a 6th untapped land tier, so they get to hold up, Absorb, plus Mortify this turn, which is good for them. This is not the counterspell I wanted for Christmas, so let's start by attacking with these. I have 8 on board. I'm going to pass. I'm not going to give them the chance to absorb something and change from being dead on board here, I think. I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana, 12 with Llanowar Elf. So still digging for 3rd Kaya's Wrath here. 12 means this Krasis draws 5 cards. They found another Mortify, so they're not dead in combat next turn. Got that going for him. Sure. So they probably absorbed my 10-10 here. Still draws 5 cards because Hydroid Krasis. Hoping to pick up some counter spells in here with our next batch of cards. I've still got 2 Negates, 2 Disdainful Strokes, and a Frilled Mystic in my deck at the moment. I have one Worm as well. This might last Krasis though. 1, 2 in the bin, and then a 3rd exiled and a 4th on the stack. They've gone through enough cards out of Kaya's Wrath at this point that they might just let this Krasis resolve, expecting to like hit a Kaya's Wrath on the next search for Azcant activation. I think they've had 3 or 4 Azcant activations at this point. Fantastic. I think I'm actually going to hold on to the Incubation Incongruity at this point, just because if they have Lyra in their deck, I want a removal spell to that. With the land drop there, I get to perfectly just hang tight and not have to discard the hand size after drawing 5. This would be like the last card I'd really be looking for. Maybe I want Ravager Wurm off of this. But it's either this or Ravager Wurm for sure. I'm just gonna go ahead and attack. So if I play this, do you think Vivien gets the Absorb? Vivien might get the Absorb. Just gonna do this. They're checking for how many Growth Chamber Guardians I'm through at the moment, and they're gonna hit that sinking moment when they realize this is the first one. I've got 7 mana up here. So they do have enough mana to activate Azcanta, Kaya's Wrath, and absorb me, which I think is fine. They don't have Kaya's Wrath, they're pretty dead here. Sure. We care about one card and they can't protect it now. Alright. That was a match of Magic. Esper Control did Esper Control things.